All right, welcome to our 7-day journey. This is day 1 of building your first real Notion system. Now, today we're not going to start with databases or any complex features. Nope, we're starting with something way more important, a fundamental shift in how you actually think about your digital workspace. And that shift, well, it starts right now.
This quote really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? If you still see Notion as just a place to jot down some notes, you're only seeing a tiny piece of the puzzle. The core idea we're diving into today is that Notion has evolved. It's not a digital notebook anymore, it's an active, living operating system for your entire life and work.
So our whole goal for today is to help you make this jump, from the column on the left to the one on the right. We want to move you from being a passive template user, someone who just fills in the blanks, to becoming an active system designer, the person who actually creates the structure in the first place. We're going to shift from just using a tool to building a system.
We have all been there. You open up a powerful new tool, and you're just staring at that intimidating blank page, feeling completely overwhelmed. And look, traditional note-taking apps have kind of taught us to think in these simple terms of documents and folders. But that model, it has its limits.
But what if the real challenge isn't about learning a million new features? What if the key is just changing our approach? Here's the shift. The problem isn't how complex the tool is, it's our mindset. We just need a new way of thinking about our digital space.
And this is that new way of thinking. You are the architect. Let's make this our central idea for today. I want you to stop seeing yourself as just a user of an app. From this point on, I want you to start seeing yourself as the architect of your very own digital office.
This source material we're working from has this perfect description. It calls Notion's components digital Legos. And it's so true. Notion gives you all the fundamental building blocks you could ever need. Your job, as the architect, is to bring the vision. You provide the blueprint for how it all fits together.
So, what is this digital Lego? Well, it's something called a block. And honestly, this is the single most important concept to really get your head around. A piece of text? That's a block. An image? That's a block. A to-do list? You guessed it, it's a block. Even an entire page is just another type of block. Everything is a block, and that's what makes this whole system so incredibly flexible.
Now take a look at this sidebar. At first glance, it might just look like a standard list of folders. But when you have that block concept in your mind, you see it completely differently. This isn't a rigid folder structure. It's a fluid, flexible hierarchy of blocks, pages nested inside other pages that you can rearrange and restructure in literally any way you can imagine.
Okay, enough theory. Let's move on to our first practical application of this whole architectural way of thinking. It's time to lay down the foundation and sketch out our first blueprint.
And this is it. We're going to build what our source calls the command center. I want you to think of this page as the front door, the main lobby of your entire digital office. It's the central hub where everything else is going to branch out from. This is the foundation of the whole system.
So as we go through the steps to build this, just remember what our focus is today. We're not just learning a series of clicks. We're trying to understand the why behind the structure, the architectural intent that makes this system so powerful and so easy to scale.
The philosophy here is actually really simple. First, we create a clean slate. Just get rid of all the clutter from the default templates. Second, we give our central hub its name, the command center. Third, we start building out the main branches of our digital office. Things like projects, notes, maybe finances. And finally, we begin to structure that hierarchy, deciding what goes inside what.
And your main architectural tool for all of this is the simple /page command. See, every time you use it, you're not just making a new document, you're creating a new block, a whole new room in your office that's instantly linked to the main structure. This is what lets you build an infinite hierarchy, just like the source says, without ever being limited by those old school folders.
So let's just pull back for a second and look at what we've really established here. By just thinking like an architect and using these blocks as our Lego pieces, we've laid a completely new foundation for how we organize our digital world.
This is the core takeaway, and it's put perfectly. A filing cabinet is rigid, right? A document can only be in one folder at a time. But a website is all about links. A single page can be connected from the home page, from the navigation bar, from a dozen other places all at once. This is the kind of freedom you have now.
So what all this means is that you are no longer just organizing files. You are the architect of your own digital environment. You have complete control to design a system that works exactly the way your brain works. And that, right there, that's the real power. And that brings us to the final thought for today. What could you build if your workspace was a true system and not just a container? I mean, if you stopped thinking of your digital tools as simple boxes to just dump information into, and you started seeing them as dynamic systems you can actually design, what would you build? What becomes possible then?
I'll leave you with that thought, because tomorrow, on day 2, we're going to take the static blueprint we designed today and we're going to begin transforming it into a dynamic, interactive control panel. We're going to bring this architecture to life. I'll see you then.